You ever go somewhere that feels wrong the second you arrive? Like the air's thicker, your skin feels tight, and your gut keeps whispering, leave, but you don't. Not because you're brave, but because you're stupid. That was me 3 summers ago. I was 24, working a dead end job at a gas station, and still crashing in my mom's basement. My best friend, Tyler, had just gotten dumped, and we decided we needed a weekend away. A little cabin out in the middle of nowhere. Cheap, quiet, supposedly good for fishing. The place we found online was called Brindle Creek. Didn't look like much from the pictures, just an old A-frame nestled in the woods, a few hours from town. But the price was dirt cheap. Too cheap, honestly. Should have been the first red flag. The ad said things like untouched forest, absolute seclusion, and off the grid. I remember joking that it sounded like a great place to get murdered. Tyler laughed, said, "Yeah, but at least we'll die drunk." We packed up his truck with way too much junk food, beer, fishing gear we barely knew how to use, and a Bluetooth speaker we were convinced would scare off any bears. On the way out, we stopped at this weird little gas station, the only one for miles. The guy behind the counter didn't say a word to us until we mentioned Brindle Creek. Then he froze. Didn't speak, just stared. When we pushed him, all he said was, "You boys stay on the trail." The drive out there was uneventful until we hit the tree line. Something about the forest changed. It was too quiet. Not just quiet, but vacuumed of sound. No birds, no bugs, no rustling leaves, just the crunch of gravel under tires and the occasional creak of branches swaying above us. At one point, Tyler slowed the truck to a crawl. "You see that?" he asked. I looked out the window. Just woods. But it felt like something had ducked behind a tree. We didn't talk about it after that. We pulled up to the cabin just before sunset. It looked older than in the pictures. Like, a lot older. The wood siding was warped and gray. One of the windows had a crack running through it, like a spider web. The door hung slightly crooked, but it was ours for the weekend. We unpacked and settled in. No cell service, no Wi-Fi, just two guys, the woods, and a couple cases of cheap beer. That first night was uneventful. We grilled burgers, played cards, talked about life, drank too much. Around midnight, we built a fire outside and sat under the stars. That's when we saw the first light. It flickered through the trees, low to the ground, soft and yellow, like a lantern swaying back and forth. "Someone else out here?" I asked. Tyler squinted. "Dude, there's nobody for miles. That's what the ad said. Total privacy." We watched the light for a while. It didn't get closer, just bobbed through the woods before vanishing. We chalked it up to maybe another cabin, even though we hadn't passed any on the way in. The next morning, we hiked to the creek with our rods. We didn't catch a damn thing, but we found something else. A shoe, just one. Muddy, scuffed, with a torn shoelace, sitting right at the edge of the water like someone had stepped out of it and vanished. Tyler laughed it off. Probably some hiker lost it, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it had been left there, intentionally. Later that afternoon, we decided to explore a bit. There was a trail behind the cabin we hadn't noticed before. Narrow, overgrown. It looked barely used. About 10 minutes in, the woods got weird. The trees grew thicker, their limbs twisted together like they were trying to block out the sun. We passed carvings in the bark, symbols, circles with slashes, eyes. Tyler stopped in front of one and laughed. "Hey, Blair Witch? That you?" But I didn't laugh. The longer I stared at the symbols, the more they made my skin crawl. Then we heard something behind us. A stick snapping. We turned. Nothing. Just trees. "Probably a deer," Tyler said. But it wasn't. Deer don't breathe like that. Low. Wet. Gurgling. We bolted back to the cabin. That night, we barricaded the door. It was just a joke at first. But then we started hearing things outside. Soft footsteps. A knock at the window. Not a bang. A knock. 3 slow taps. We didn't look. I didn't sleep. Tyler passed out eventually, but I lay there, listening to the trees, to the air, It felt like we weren't alone, not just watched, surrounded. The next morning, we found footprints around the cabin. Bare feet, dozens of them, in the mud, circling the house. Some were small, like a child's. Others were wrong, long, too many toes. Tyler wanted to leave. I did too. But the truck wouldn't start. The engine wouldn't even click. Just dead. We decided to hike back toward the main road. Maybe find a ranger station or flag someone down. That trail we found, it didn't lead out. It twisted, doubled back, forked where it hadn't forked before. We hiked for hours and ended up back at the cabin. Tyler was freaking out, pacing, yelling. He started tearing at his gear, swearing the GPS was broken. That night, we tried to stay calm, but the knocking came back. And this time, it moved. From window to window, knock, 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 like whatever was out there was searching. We didn't answer, didn't move. Then came the whispering. From the fireplace, from the walls, from under the floorboards, voices, low and fast and urgent, like a crowd praying in a language I didn't recognize. Then silence. When I woke up the next morning, Tyler was gone. I searched, screamed, ran the woods until I couldn't breathe. Nothing. I found a trail of clothes, his boots, his hoodie, his shirt, folded neatly on a moss-covered rock, and then the photo. Old, black and white, faded. Two boys standing in front of the same cabin. One looked like Tyler, the other looked like me. I dropped it, ran to the truck, still dead. The forest started to hum. That's the only way I can describe it. A low vibration in my bones. The trees felt closer, like they were watching. I locked myself in the bathroom that night with a knife. Every shadow moved. Every whisper said my name. I must have passed out. When I woke up, everything was still silent. I walked outside, and everything looked new. The wood siding freshly stained, the window shoal, even the cracked step on the porch was fixed. A man stood by a car I didn't recognize. He smiled and said, "You made it." I asked who he was. He handed me keys. "You own it now. It always needs someone." I didn't take the keys. I turned and ran down the road. Eventually, I found a ranger station. I told them everything. They said there's no cabin at Brindle Creek. Never has been. I checked the site we booked it from. Gone. No listing, no payment record. They never found Tyler. But I still have the photo. It's in my wallet. Two boys, smiling. One of them always staring straight at me. I moved across the country. I don't go near woods. I don't camp. I don't even keep houseplants. But I still hear the humming sometimes. In static, in silence, in my dreams. And I know it's waiting. One day, I'll feel a knock on my door. 3 slow taps, and I won't be able to stop myself. I'll go back, because that's what it does. It chooses you. And once it does, you belong to the forest. Forever. And if you ever hear knocking in the woods, 3 slow taps, don't answer. Because it's not looking for help. It's looking for you. Even after I moved, I couldn't escape it. The dreams got worse. Not nightmares exactly, more like memories. Except they weren't mine. They'd start the same. Me and Tyler pulling up to the cabin, but everything was different. Not wrong, just off. Like it was remembering us. Like it was rehearsing. In one dream, I opened a drawer in the kitchen and found dozens of photographs, Polaroids, daguerreotypes, even charcoal sketches. All of different people, always two, always smiling. And always, one staring directly at the viewer. Some of the faces I recognized. One was the guy from the gas station. In another dream, I followed laughter into the woods, found children playing Ring Around the Rosie, their mouths open in soundless joy. When they turned to look at me, Their eyes were hollow. Then I'd wake up and find dirt on my feet, twigs in my sheets. Once, a smear of ash on my windowsill. The humming comes and goes. Sometimes it's in the refrigerator motor, sometimes in the power lines. I've even heard it in people like the guy next to me on the bus whose mouth twitched to that rhythm. I tried burning the photo. It didn't catch. I tried throwing it in a river. It floated back to shore, dry. One night, I came home to find a package on my doorstep. No label, just a key. Same one from the cabin. And a note. You'll know when it's time. I moved again. Changed my name, cut ties. But last week, I saw someone across the street, wearing Tyler's hoodie. Only it wasn't faded anymore, it was new. He didn't say anything, just stood there, smiling. And I knew, it's not over. Because you don't leave Brindle Creek, you just forget it for a while, until it remembers you and brings you home.